Okay, so a lot of people also then ask me for tips for memorizing, either as students or as parents that can say, what can we tell our kids? So I would have a couple of quick tips that I think will help, inshallah, with everyone. The first one is, as students, is make dua, right? Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. Rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. Constantly make dua. And that's the number one piece of advice. You know, as doing this journey, this is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy, but just make dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that guidance. The second thing that I would say is work in the mornings. Now there's so much barakah, and there's hadith that tell us about the blessings that are in the morning. And in particular, I would say, be mindful of the time right before Fajr. So that's like your tahajjud time. And I know some of the students that are doing hifz these days are younger students, but getting the students to get up early to memorize before Fajr, and then of course after Fajr, are good times. Those are times from the Sunnah that are blessed times. Take advantage of those times. Your mind is fresh. You'll be able to really focus and get so much done in a very little amount of time. You'll be surprised how much you can really get done in just about a half an hour of waking up a little bit early, either before Tahajjud or after Fajr. The third thing that I would say is slice into the new lesson. Oftentimes we call this sabak, right? Slice into it in the evenings. What do I mean by that? Right before you're going to go to sleep and call it a night, look at your sabak and get into it to a point where it's like 60 to 80%, there in your mind somehow. How do you do that? The first thing I would say is make sure your nadira, your reading of it, is fluent. Before you go to sleep, for that new sabak that you're going to work on the next morning, get through it 10 times, 20 times, whatever, how many repetitions, but get through it so you're reading it fluently without any mistakes or without any hesitation. And the second thing is, when you're doing that process, you're going to start memorizing it naturally, because you are doing hifz. You're going to remember, okay, that's what I mean by slicing into the sabak the night before, where you're like 60 to 80%. You kind of have a feel of it. And then when you wake up in the morning, again, that bright and early time, right before the tahajjud time or right after Fajr, that's the time you'll be able to solidify it. And then bam, next time you're in class, first thing you'll do, finish your new memorization, and hopefully you'll have a success in your new memorization. The fourth thing is follow a reciter, right? Pick a reciter, maybe ask one of your teachers, who's a good reciter, or if you have a reciter that you like to listen to, maybe it's their style, maybe it's their tone, whatever it may be, but try to find a reciter that you can really listen to, and either you can then find a good rhythm and pace of following that reciter, and that'll also help give you a good tone in how to recite.